Hey, Coach.
What is going on, Pig Trail YouTube? How you guys doing in chat? Hope everyone's had a wonderful weekend. It's been it's been an interesting one to say the least. So tonight, it's a little bit different. I'm gonna get all this set up. We've not actually ever done anything like this before here with the Hawg Talk podcast, bringing them in on the live stream here on YouTube. Wow, what a day! Let me. All my images are not wanting to pop up. That's okay. There they are. They're up. We've got the Ruskin and Zach. We got Zach Arns from ESPN's
Gentlemen.
Ruskin and Zach. How you doing, Zach?
You know what? I was having a nice lazy Sunday, and then bam! My whole world got turned upside down. Looks like I'm going to have to go back to work here shortly. I'm not a real fan of that.
Oh, I know it. And on a Sunday too.
Coaching searches are the easiest thing in the world. You just sit back, flip the mic open, let people go, and now it's actually you got to come back and go to work. So.
I hear you. Also, Hawg Talk guys are here too. The cohort, Porter, our producer, and Jacob. How are you two doing?
Go first, Pick.
Oh man, doing wonderful. Just sitting here like everybody else, enjoying the day, and then you see the red smoke and the tweet with Pittman and Yurachek, and it's all hands on deck.
Jacob?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I've been off for 2 weeks, so I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
Well, just off from you guys. I actually been working, but off from you guys. Missed you guys a lot.
Yeah. Oh well, we missed you. It's not the same
so
when you're not
sweet.
there.
Oh, y'all so sweet.
Zach, I have a bone to pick with you, sir.
You probably the first of many, but go ahead.
Am I in line? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it could be a long night if we're going to pick bones because I say lots of stupid stuff all the time. Yes, sir. How can I help you today?
I'm used to it. Hey, on YouTube, it's like you say something, it's up there forever, and then later you get Captain Hindsight who comes in and says, "Ha ha, Ty, you were wrong," and it's like, oh, okay, my bad. First off, the eggnog. I don't know what your deal is about the eggnog. Thor's milk, the nectar of the gods.
It is nothing more than liquid vomit. It is the most disgusting of holiday treats. I love holiday time because I'll gain 65 pounds during the holidays. But if I ever want to lose it, give me some eggnog, I'll just throw it right back up. It is so disgusting. And I don't understand the appeal of it. There's a reason it's seasonal, and it's because most people during this time of year just don't care anymore about what they look like or what they're consuming. And eggnog is just disgusting. I don't get it. It's from the consistency to the taste to how it comes back, it's just disgusting. I can't do it.
What about but if you spice it up a little bit, you throw some rum in there.
No.
No?
You know what? No, it's like when you go out with an ugly girl, and you can only put so much makeup on and keep the lights dim for so long. It's gross. It's just gross, and there's no way around it, and it always comes back badly.
You're not wrong about that second part at all. You're not wrong.
No. And that's the voice of experience talking. I've had more than one run-in with eggnog, and I won't touch it now.
Yeah. Well, the youngins tell me the only way to drink it, you got to, quote-unquote, crunk it up.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
I think that means just to put rum in it, as people of my generation would call it, just spice it up with a little bit of alcohol. Chat, thank you guys so much. So I know, again, we've got Zach Arns here from Ruskin and Zach. This is a first that we have ever done this on the Pig Trail Network YouTube channel. I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by. Remember to like, comment, share the content. Check out all the links. We've got the Hawg Talk podcast links down below, along with the Pig Trail podcast, Thirsty Thursdays. I told you guys, I am a busy mofo, and I don't make a dime for doing any of it, but I love it when chat stops by. You guys are rock stars. You make this all happen. Okay. Gentlemen, something happened today. Looks like Arkansas's got their coach. Looks like they got their HC, Sam Pittman. And I know since there's four of us in here, we're going to have to try and do this part by part. I want to start with you, Zach. Your thoughts on Pittman? What do you expect out of him? How do you feel about his staff and maybe even go into first year projections?
Sam Pittman. It feels like you got a 3-week head start on a coaching search, and you could have fired Chad Morris yesterday and still gotten Sam Pittman. That was my initial. I mean, there wasn't a line out the door to go get Sam Pittman. He's a very experienced football coach. He's 58 years old. He's been a head coach at a junior college. He was an associate head coach with Kirby Smart at Georgia. I'm not questioning the the qualifications of Sam Pittman. I'm questioning, is this the guy that was the target all along? And did we just waste 3 weeks of our lives chasing coaches around the country to get a guy that you could have gotten yesterday? And as an alum at the University of Arkansas, I think, Sam Pittman may be the next Lombardi. But optically, when you look at this coaching search, this was a disaster. I mean, you're in Boca Raton, you're in Boonville, North Carolina, you're up in Minneapolis, Terrell, Texas, Pullman, Washington. You're going after all these big names, and the way it comes across is everybody said no. And now you've got Sam Pittman. Again, he may be the second coming of Lombardi. My issue was you had an SEC championship game yesterday, and you're out campaigning for a job. That sends up red flags to me.
Ooh.
If he was as highly thought of as a head coaching prospect, he would have developed into a coordinator, into, more than just, he's been a position coach most of his career. And at 58 years old, the opportunity would have presented itself. On the pro side of things, I've said all along since Chad Morris was let go, you need somebody to come in and stabilize this thing, somebody who can get your recruiting back on track and establish relationships, can settle this thing down. And he may fit the bill for that. And this is not one of those where you look at Sam Pittman and go, yes, this is going to happen. You got a first-time head coach walking into the SEC West. That's hard to do. And I'm not sure that this was exactly what Hunter Yurachek had in mind when he jumped on the plane and sent out the snarky little tweets and was trolling all the Arkansas fans. I think he had somebody else, and that somebody else walked away from him.
So kind of jumping in on that, and you kind of made it, known from the start that you didn't like or wasn't too thrilled with Kiffin as a hire. But, we got a guy on our staff here at Hawg Talk that was really, really about
Oh
Kiffin.
my gosh.
So kind of give us your take on Kiffin.
Okay, so I've been through a number of these coaching searches, and I treat them like conspiracies. If I had a dime for every time somebody said, well, I've got a guy that told me, well, that's great. But most of the time in a conspiracy theory, one guy doesn't know everything. You have to interview multiple guys. I talked to 43 people about this consistently. Most of them not in the state of Arkansas. Most of them in the coaching profession and in the agent profession, because that is a very, very small circle. And they know each other, and they know things about each other, and they know more about the process than some random booster in, wherever Arkansas. And what I've learned about the BOT members and the boosters, they've all got an agenda. They all think they know something. They're all like little kindergartners with a little piece of information that they want to run to you. Not saying it's not true, but what you've got to do is you've got to take each little piece of information, figure out what's true, and have I heard that from somebody else who I think is reputable? And that's what I did with all of this. And I knew Sunday night last week that Kiffin wasn't coming. Everybody that I'd talked to, and I'm talking guys that know him, guys in the coaching profession, guys in the agent profession, who were telling me he ain't going. And I was really adamant that this was just a tease. And I've said it 100 times. He was the look over here. He was Yurachek's look over here, just like Kelvin Sampson was and Greg Marshall was during the basketball search. And then he pulled Musselman out of his pocket. He was the look over here. Matt Campbell was the target. And they got a package together in the 5.5 to 6 range. And he said no. And then you're backpedaling because the guy just turned down $5.5 to $6 million. Now what? Well, now Kiffin was probably option C or D, and it slid backwards. And it's my problems with Kiffin on the field. I really don't have any. I think he's pretty inventive on the field. It's the off the field stuff. And in talking with coaches, guys that know him, red flags were going up all over the place. Could he be the biggest celebrity in the state of Arkansas was my question. And the answer I kept coming back to, and I'll tell you this, I had a coach tell me one time, you better hire a 24-hour security team to follow him around. That's not good. You don't need that now. If you were coming off Petrino's year where they went to the Cotton Bowl, okay, maybe you roll the dice with Kiffin. But right now, you're at a critical point, critical mass here. And if they fail in this, you're now Vanderbilt. And you're going to be Vanderbilt for the next 15 years. And it's a long way to climb out now. And if you miss on this hire, it's going to be even worse.
And you say that we're going to be Vanderbilt in the future. I think there's a really strong argument that Arkansas is probably looking up at Vanderbilt right now.
There are positives to this job, and I'll tell you. Midweek last week, I asked 4 coaches, 2 of them sitting, 2 of them working in TV. So what are when you go to look at a job, what are the things you're looking at? And every one of them said the exact same thing. It was roster and recruiting, because that's simply going to tell you how fast can I win and how fast can I get out of this hole that I'm in. And I've had guys, personnel directors in the NFL tell me Arkansas's got one NFL guy on the roster, and they're not even sure he's an NFL guy. And they're talking about Traylon Burks. I mean, he's a freshman. What's he going to be like 2 years from now? And that's scary in the SEC when you don't have any draftable NFL guys. That's frightening because now you're behind Vanderbilt as far as NFL talent goes. And let's be honest, in today's football, if you don't have NFL guys, you're not going anywhere. Vanderbilt doesn't have the facilities, the money, whatever. You can get out of this, but you got to have the right guy who understands this job and understands that you might get 3 or 4 quality Division I football players a year. You got to go someplace else to get them. And that's why coaches were turning this thing down. The roster's bad and there's no recruiting.
Let me ask this really quick, and I know they still got to put together a staff. We got to get early signing period out of the way. But what should and I need to reframe this, what should the expectations be for him for year one?
Have you looked at the schedule? The schedule early on is brutal. You're going to play Nevada right out of the chute. That's Jay Norvell. I mean, that's a pretty darn good football program. Yep. Then you're going to South Bend. God bless you. Good luck. I mean, it's going to be rough early on. What you're looking for early is just do they look organized? Does it not look like a Chinese fire drill every time they go out there? You remember how bad it was against Portland State, how unorganized they looked just trying to get in and out of the huddle. It was bad. So you want to see baby steps there, and you're bringing back some guys that quite honestly have some talent. Better win that Nevada game because, after that, it gets brutal. Without looking at the schedule and who's coming, who's going, who they bring in, all that sort of stuff. I think the early signing period's gone. I think you got to forget about it. You can hang on to a couple of guys out of that group, great, but you're basically starting at 0 on December the 8th. Expectations for me, get an SEC win. Find some way to get an SEC win, and then proceed from there.
Chad is they're not very receptive to the Sam Pittman stuff, but there are some people who are agreeing with you. I agree with you. There's some reality that needs to kind of be thrown at this just a little bit. Like I get we're in honeymoon phase. We got the new guy. It's easy to put him under a microscope and get super excited about him. I get it. I'm in the same boat. I'm kind of on the other end of this where I have faith that he's very well connected, as you said, and he's somebody who I think can get things turned around along the line of scrimmage. And I think he might be the guy for the job as far as what Arkansas really needs. It's a blue-collar hire for a blue-collar program. And, when you talk about rebuilding, getting some better talent on the roster, kind of like what Chad Morris was supposed to do, we know how that ended up. But his class, and I had someone tell me that, his recruiting, he was going to have another top 20 class had we not fired him. No, they were losing commitments before he even got fired. So you've got your work's cut out for you if you're Sam Pittman. I mean, that is the reality of the situation. I think
there's no question. I mean, this is arguably the toughest job to recruit to in the SEC. At least at Vanderbilt, you got Nashville. I mean, granted, you've got some academic restrictions, but you got Nashville there. You've got major metropolitan areas to recruit from. Arkansas didn't have that, and that's. I mean, when Arkansas has been good, and I've heard this said over and over and over again, when Arkansas has been good, they've had in-state talent. You don't recruit in-state talent just for the sake of having Arkansas kids on your roster. You go get the best ones you can. I mean, Jacoby Criswell right now, Sam Pittman should be in his living room. Go get.
Did you see that tweet?
Criswell.
Did you see what he did?
Yeah, I did. And I know Jacoby a little bit. And Jacoby he's the best player in the state. Newly minted 4 stars. You better get him. But his thing is he loves North Carolina. And you're going to have to sell him on the idea that, this thing's turning around because you're 8-28 in the last 3 years. That's a tough sell to a kid that's got options. And that's the big thing.
Well, and especially you got to look where the kid's going. Do you want to go be the man in the ACC where it's easier to win, or do you want to try to go play in the SEC West against unproven O-line that you're going to get your head bashed in possibly?
I'll even break it down further for you. You want to be coached by Mac Brown?
Yep.
That's pretty good. I mean, he's got a natty. That's not a bad place to start. They throw the ball around, they score points, nearly beat Clemson. That's going to be a tough sell, but Sam Pittman needs to be on his way down I-49 right now to go try and get him.
Yeah. And me and Ty was talking early, like on Thursday when we done our show about like expectations. And, we were talking, mainly about Kiffin, but there shouldn't be any expectations year one, because that's what got everybody in the jam with Chad Morris, because he done the plane interview and we're going to let Lane hammer down. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I think he needs to come in quietly like Musselman did. Come in, start his philosophy, and just do work, and then go try to get his recruits, instead of making these promises that we don't know if he could keep.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see an offensive line coach. It's just not in their nature making a lot of promises. I've had coaches tell me, you can hire the best head coach in the world. The most important hires are those coordinators. Who you getting? And you've got to have guys, and I've heard people say this. You got to trick it up a little bit if you're Arkansas. You're not dealing with a lot of 4 and 5 stars on your roster. So how are you going to score points? And you have to score points in this league. We've seen it this year. Alabama gave up 40 twice. LSU's given up 30 twice. So you've got to be able to put points on the board in order to survive in this league. How are you going to do it?
Yeah. And another thing, I was going to go piggyback off of what you guys were saying about Jacoby Criswell. If you can recruit, my thing is trying to think of a way to word it. Really, is the appeal of playing in Arkansas as strong as it was 10 years ago?
No.
For guys that are in state.
No, they're 8-28
exactly.
the last 3 years.
Right.
Look at Stacey Wilkins, the kid from Camden Fairview. That's a 4-star left tackle that you should have been able to just go down and say, hey, here's a scholarship, and he's on his way up. He goes to Oklahoma because he's got options. You know why he went to Oklahoma? Because they win. Trey Norwood, same thing. Well, same thing with Trey Norwood over at Northside. He takes off and goes to Oklahoma. There are players leaving the state that would help. KJ, obviously we know what happened with KJ Hill, but that's not a kid that you let get away.
No.
Akeel Byers, Taylor Powell over at Fayetteville. How do you let those guys get out, especially linemen? You see the lack of offensive and defensive linemen that Arkansas has now. How do you let Akeel Byers get away? You move heaven and earth to get that kid, and he may not turn out to be the next, Trey Flowers, but he's a big body that you just can't let those guys get away. They're hard to find.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone in chat, thank you guys so much. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask away. I'm trying to keep up with chat. There's a lot of people in here. Also, don't forget to join our Discord. We'll have those links up for you guys as well in just a little bit. But welcome. We do have Zach Arns from Ruskin and Zach on ESPN up here. It's 99.5. Really cool thing about their show, and not that they're the first to do it, but it's really cool because they'll actually read your damn text on air. I don't know. I text you guys from time to time. I don't know if you remember. I texted in like a month ago. My very first game was the Citadel loss. Do you recall that, reading that on?
I do, and that was the first game of my sophomore year. Yeah, it was a real red letter day in Arkansas Razorback history. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. What a way to kill the mood.
One of these days, the great thing about our texting app is that we get a lot of drunk texts over the weekends. guys like texting their girlfriends, and we had one where a guy got some girl pregnant, and he was trying to explain it, and I'm like, dude, this is uncomfortable. One of these days we're gonna put together a podcast and we're gonna read all of them.
Wow.
They are they're terrific. There's one guy that was talking about he like stolen something, and I'm interacting with him and talking with him in real time as he's trying to steal something. So
my gosh,
I probably says more about my social life than anything else. But yeah, one of these days we're gonna put those on.
There used to be an app. It was called Text from Last Night, and I would read some of these, and it was, oh my gosh, it was hilarious. These people that would send texts that they didn't mean to, and they would just post them. Some of the texts were insane, but you're talking about the relationship Tuesday or whatever. The squirrel and then the donkey. And, it is insane. Yeah.
Hey, so
I don't know how they find us, but they do.
Yeah. Well, I know I've texted you guys on accident before, and then I'll text something, and I'm not going to lie, I buy into it. And it's such a cool function of the show. Like, you sit there and you wait for you guys to read it out loud, and then I hear you say, "Oh boy, here's Ty," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, those are the ones that always get me, where you just kind of go, "Oh Lord, here we go." And that's our show. Is it's listener based, and when we get good ones, we'll absolutely read them.
Let me ask this though: Does he have a "Get Off My Lawn" sign somewhere in the studio or outside the studio?
You know what's great is I'm 10 years older than him, and he's more of a curmudgeon than I am, and I love it because I don't feel so bad about myself anymore. I am a "Get Off My Lawn, your music's too loud" kind of guy, but he's worse, and that makes me happy.
Wow, yeah, it's a good show. I listen to it.
Typically, I appreciate that.
I have a about a 45-minute time slot where I'm picking up my kids from school. They both go to separate schools here in Springdale. And so, like, I try to, I've got to hop out of the car, get my youngest from pre-K, then I got to go drive across town to where my oldest daughter goes to school, and I'm trying to listen. And if I want to text, I am that guy. I don't text and drive. I've known people that have been harmed by that. So I try to pull over, and I'm like, I got to get this text in. I got to get it in. I got to let them know what's up. So
be careful with the voice texting, because if you put in a bad word or you misspell a word, we do point it out.
Oh,
so I'm a bit of a
grammar Nazi.
That's me. That is one. I have some OCD issues, and grammar's one of them.
You're not the only one. I'm pretty OCD about a lot of things. I have a question from the chat. They're asking about Odom. It's been more or less determined that Odom's going to be the guy as the defensive coordinator. I don't have any. I've not heard that. I don't know about anyone here that's here on the Hawg Talk or Zach, but I've not heard that. Odom would be great. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't turn it down.
The Odom stuff comes from a tweet that Pittman put out about four days ago, and it was after Barry got fired, and Barry put out there that he was thankful for his time at Missouri over the last 4 years, blah, 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 blah. And then Pittman retweeted it or he commented or whatever, replied, and said that he's a great guy, one of the best in the biz.
Okay. So, Zach, since you are the guest on the show, I'm going to try and get everyone this question.
Use that term liberally. I'm a guest for the first time ever. I can actually come in and sit on your couch and drop stuff on your floor. I'm happy about it.
How important is it though to keep Lunny at the very least? Like I'm with everyone on this. I think it's important. I want to know your thoughts on that. How important is it, do you think, to keep Lunny?
I don't know. And Grant Hall and I have this argument all the time. He's like, well, you got to have Arkansas guys on the staff. I'm like, well, how many points are they worth on Saturdays? Get the best guys. If Lunny's the best guy, you keep him. I wonder more about his sort of disposition after being considered being the guy, and now he's got to go work for somebody else. I've heard all along that the requirement was that he had to be part of the staff. I wonder if he might move on. He's Arkansas through and through, but is this an opportunity where somebody saw the work that he did and wants to give him maybe a greater role than special teams or tight ends coach or something like that? I think if he's on the staff, it's great. I think he relates to the kids very well. As a matter of fact, I know that. I know he relates to them very, very, very well, and I think he'd be a positive addition to the staff. I just wonder where he is. He went in and he had the interview with Hunter Yurchek, apparently blew the doors off the interview. Hunter wanted him. BOT said no. And that's where this thing sort of went sideways. And you just kind of wonder where he is mentally. I mean, he can certainly recruit. I think he'd be in addition to any staff that he was on. You just hope it's Arkansas's.
What do you think, Jacob, Porter? Where are you guys at? Oh, we'll start with Jacob. What do you think about keeping anybody, really, not just Lunny, but especially Lunny? Like, where are you guys at on it, Jacob?
Well, Lonnie, he's been on staff of the last two guys that have failed at Arkansas. I mean, is he part of the problem? I don't know, but he's put out some pretty good talent in the tight end room. He recruits the easiest region in the whole country. I mean, he's got the state of Arkansas there. So what are you losing? What are you losing there if you keep him on staff? I mean, is it just continuity? Is it just a guy that kids can continue to relate to? I mean, I'm not sure. I like Barry. I think he's a good guy, but good guys, just because he's a good guy doesn't mean he's going to win ball games or help you win ball games.
So you're saying that as keeping him on, you're not so sure about keeping him on as a tight end coach?
Well, I think it'd be great to continue him on as the tight ends coach, but I don't think the staff would be hurt if we lose him. Kind of similar to the Tim Horton deal.
Okay, all right, Porter.
Well, I kind of go with Zach of, where's his head at? He was a yes man. I'll step up and do the job. And then he gets that taste of the head coach in life and then goes and interviews. And, he might feel like he can go somewhere else and do it. But, when we're talking about keeping the staff, I mean, you look at the talent that they do have. So, I mean, if he did go on, you're really not losing much because, you got one guy, like Zach said, that has NFL talent.
That's true. Here's something else, too. And this is – I see this every time I go live. Every time I get a bunch of people in chat, and I get people DMing me this, too, and I'm sure Zach can relate. I'm sure he gets the text messages on the show. My God. Darren McFadden for running back coach.
Oh, here we go.
I mean –
here we go.
Oh.
Look, just because you're an elite runner, because you're a great college running back or whatever position, that doesn't always translate to coaching. I don't know. That's got to be one of the. I get that every single live show. But sticking with trying to building this staff together. We know he's pretty well connected. At least that's what's been reported. And I mean, obviously, he's been in the business for a really long time. So are you guys, and again, I'll start with Zach, how confident are you that he can build a staff around, I know you've touched on it a little bit, but how confident are you that he can build a respectable staff around him?
Well, I think obviously he's well connected. He's been in the business forever. And you just wonder, are you going to have the same sort of issues drawing coaches here because of the condition of the program? Same thing with the head coach. I mean, obviously you've been, Matt Campbell says no. You flirt with Lane Kiffin. You're talking to this guy or that guy. Are you going to have trouble finding quality position coaches? Again, to me, the most important hires he's going to make is who's your OC and who's your DC, because that's where it starts. As far as I'm concerned, Sam Pittman is going to lay out the foundation and the structure. But who's going to run this thing day to day, in practice, where Sam Pittman can kind of oversee everything? And then you got to go get position coaches, elite position coaches. Because I am of the opinion that Arkansas in the last few years, unless you've got the Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, the Peyton Hillis types, the Matt Jones types, you're in the player development business. You need your 2 stars to be 3 stars when they leave, your 3 stars to be 4 stars, your 4 stars to be 5 stars. You're not getting 20 to 25 4 and 5 star kids. So you got to find kids, project them forward, and say this kid can be a 4-star when he leaves. And they've got to get into that business, and they got to do it fast, because they are now this is 2 recruiting classes that are going to really take a bullet in 3 years, 2.5 years. It's imperative that they get guys that can develop players. Strength and conditioning is the first one. Get a nutritionist that's an elite level nutritionist, and then get guys who can teach, number one, the quarterbacks how to throw the football. That would be helpful. And get some guys on the offensive line that can coach these guys up and make them better than maybe make the total sum greater than its parts. That's where I think they are. I think the Boise State model is exactly where they need to be, which is a lot of, and this sounds terrible, but you don't necessarily need a lot of NFL guys. You need a lot of 4th, 5th year seniors that are really good football players, and a bunch of them, and you need them fast. I know everybody's all, get into the portal, get the young guys, make this a 4 or 5 year building project, get the young guys, develop them. And then by the time they're seniors or redshirt seniors, they're really effective players.
Yeah. Why not? Someone says in the comments here, this is U of A Razorbacks fans, why not D-Mac? What the blank? It's all about recruiting. Who can recruit? This chat, I tell you, it's hard to. You got to read it while it's moving. He can recruit better than someone that was raised in the hood knows the.
Oh my God.
Oh jeez.
The hood can definitely recruit in the hood. Okay, that first off, that's not okay. Whatever, that is what it is. But just because you think he can recruit, do you think any of these kids today can relate to Darren McFadden, who was a star a decade ago?
Take it to a micro level. Football coaches need to be teachers. Can Darren McFadden teach? I mean, he can do it. He can show you how to do it, but can he teach it? Can he teach you the fundamentals of how to run the football, what to look for, what to do on this particular play, pass protection? Can he teach that in a way that the kid's going to respond to and understand? That was the thing with Chad Morris. That I kept hearing that repeatedly was he's not a teacher. He couldn't teach the offensive players how to do what he needed them to do. And coming from a guy who, touted Deshaun Watson, who is clearly a generational player, I think Deshaun Watson almost Chad Morris proved Clemson. It's the same thing with, Vince Young and Mac Brown. Sometimes a generational player can make make the team better, or I guess overcome some deficiencies in the coaching. Man, you got to be able to teach these kids what to do. And you get these former players, some of them work, some of them don't. He's never coached a day in his life. I don't know how you could even propose that over a quality guy that's been coaching running backs for 15 years.
I tell you what.
Well,
here's what you do. Sorry, Porter. Here's what you do. You hire DJ Williams to coach the tight ends. Darren McFadden with the running backs. Hell, we might as well just bring Peyton Hillis in while we're at it. Clint Sterner to coach the quarterbacks. Although I don't know that would be a bad idea. Clint Sterner, who runs the quarterback clinic. And then on defense, I don't know, we can go grab Trey Flowers. Let's just pull him.
What's he doing?
Let's pull him from the NFL. Like, that stuff is just crazy how often I read that. Someone in chat wanted to know about age. I can't find it because, like I said, chat's going crazy here. But the age of Pittman, does that
50? He's 58, and I know. I mean, like 58's still young. I'm not just saying that because I'm close to it.
Coaching, it is.
In coaching, it is. I mean, he's probably got 7 years left.
I agree.
We'll look at Mac Brown. He's older than him, and he's out there. He's reaching out to kids at North Carolina. He turns them into a decent program. He's actually dancing and connecting with them after the game. So,
yeah.
I
mean, he's not breaking hips either, so that's a good thing.
But
Lance
But what I was going to get into with the whole this Darren McFadden thing, fans have got to stop living in the past. It happens in basketball. We bring Mike Anderson in because it reminded them of the '94 team. We want Houston Nutt to come back. We want Bobby Petrino to come back. We have to get out of that mindset of living in the past, or we're going to be spinning in the mud. If you keep on living in the past of what used to be, then you're never going to be able to look forward and see what can happen. I mean, it's just absurd that you're just because of what they did for you at that school at a certain time, you want them to come back. There's a reason why they left, and there's a reason why they were a player and they never become a coach.
Absolutely agree with you. I mean, people wanted Petrino back because it's the last time it was good. And that's the last thing that people remember. Oh, Bobby Petrino won the Cotton Bowl. Well, he also, created some HR violations and gave his girlfriend money. And, people kind of forget that because they want to win so bad. We get bombarded with just crazy notions. And sometimes you just got to pump the brakes, step back and go, why would anyone do this? I remember I got a text at one point, it was like Urban Meyer for head coach. And then he pulled 2 sitting head coaches for offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, and just pay them $10 million each. Okay, well, great. Where's the money coming from?
Exactly.
It's like it's great to throw darts at a wall, but at some point you got to sit down and go, okay, how are you going to do this? And that's where that's where it gets a little crazy sometimes, and can get a little frustrating, to be honest, because it's just like within 15 minutes of Ron Rivera getting fired by the Panthers, we're like, hey, let's go get Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera doesn't even know where Arkansas is. Stop.
I don't think you can point it out on a map.
Yeah,
but that just shows how desperate everybody, and that's how desperate this fan base is. I mean, there wasn't Hugh Freeze to come out of the daggum dentist chair in the hospital bed to come coach and do the thumbs up from the booth at Arkansas. I mean, they'll take anybody at this point. You're wanting Urban Meyer, you're wanting Petrino, you're wanting. They probably take Art Briles if he wanted to come. I mean,
I've heard
and
the Art
that's
Briles
sad.
thing more than once,
and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. And I mean, I've always said when you get into a coaching search, the first 5 names you hear, just cross them off. It's a wish list. The next 5 names you hear, cross them off. That's again a wish list. Then you start to get to the guys that we're talking about, and that got to ask yourself. And I asked this. I mean, I know I was ticking callers off when I was doing this, but I forget, it was Justin Fuente was one of the names that was rumored to come early. But why would he come here? He's a team's 8-4. They're in the top 25. They're going bowling every year. Virginia Tech's a really good job. Why would he come here? Well, it's an SEC job. Well, that's great, but when you're the 7th out of 7 in the West and you're going to get your head kicked in, that's you got to look at the whole thing. We were talking. I was talking to somebody yesterday about Eli Drinkwitz, and I know Eli a little bit. And Eli's what, 12? They won yesterday, so what? They're 12-1. If Eli were to stay at Appy State, now obviously he's going to Missouri, but if he stayed at Appy State, goes 12-1 next year, he's 24-2 as a head coach. He's got his pick of jobs. If he goes to say Memphis, serves 3 years at Memphis, get roughly the same record as Norvell. He's 40-8 in 4 years as a head coach. Comes here, he's going to go 8-28 in 3 years, and his career's over. He's got to go back to being a coordinator. You got to look at all of this stuff when you're just throwing names against a dartboard to try and why would these guys come here? We were getting a lot of Matt Rule. Let's go get Matt Rule. This team's in the top 10. Why would he leave Waco to come here? This is a complete rebuild. There were guys that and again, and folks that I talked to. There were people that were running from this job. Wouldn't take Yurichek's call. Didn't want anything to do with it. It's in dire straits, and it's worse from a football standpoint than I think people realize. It is. Vanderbilt's won 3 times as many games as you have the last 2 years, and that's not a place you want to be. It's not that it's not fixable. It's, I think, a serious dose of reality is what folks need. It's going to take a while to get this thing back. It's not going to turn around overnight.
Well, to that point, a lot of people set themselves up, and I was guilty of it. I really thought they were going to be able to go out and get somebody who was a name, a coach who was coaching either in Power 5 or someone who was coaching in a conference championship this weekend. And yeah, we were all dealt kind of a heavy dose of reality a little bit. The program as it is now, like you said earlier, it's not the same that it was 10 years ago. It is a complete rebuild, and it's going to take a little while. Someone in chat, Tony Healy, says, the most important question is, does Pittman reinstate Club Dub?
Oh, God. No.
Living the dream.
Club
right.
Dub.
Living the dream.
Hey, Zach.
Yes, sir.
Eggnog or Club Dub?
Oh, gosh.
What?
Which one's worse?
I think can I take C? I'd rather have an STD.
Why y'all hating on eggnog, man? I'm not.
I love eggnog. I love it. I think it's very good.
That's the poll question.
Club Dub. I'm telling you, I saw that and I put my hands, my head, my hands. It was like, oh, this isn't good, because it's just you're celebrating winning this, and then you go and you blow it to you can't lose to San Jose State. Even today, I just want to scream at the top of my lungs. You cannot lose to San Jose State under any circumstance. Should have been fired right then. You knew it was. We came on the show that Monday and said this isn't going anywhere. It is time to it's time to look in another direction. And you look at all the missteps along the way. This staff was in over their heads from the beginning, and you've been in over your heads for 2 years now. And somebody's going to have to come in and undo it. And is Sam Pittman that guy? I don't know. It's going to be a long, long road back. And that schedule next year is brutal. Brutal. I think the first game we look at and you say, well, okay, they should win that is Coastal Carolina. And then anybody going to raise your hand and go, yeah, they're going to win that one? No. I think that game's in late September or early October. So there is a long way to go.
Yeah, and I got a kind of a question to ask. You've done this a long time. You've been through a lot of coaches searches and with the fans. How much do you think social media and everybody on Twitter and Facebook, everybody's got an opinion, they got a source. How much has that really changed over the years, like when it comes to expectations compared to what you got?
It has made everybody's opinion matter. That's the thing that I've learned through, all of the coaching searches the last 10 years. Social media, message boards. Everybody's got a guy. Everybody knows somebody who knows something. And it raises and lowers fans' expectations. Like I told you, I knew Kiffin wasn't coming last Sunday, but it continued to get ratcheted up. Kiffin's coming. Now you set the bar at Lane Kiffin. That's what you're expecting. Sam Pittman may be the next Vince Lombardi, but he's not Lane Kiffin, and everybody's going to be disappointed. Now, what's going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours? I believe I saw the pressers at 3 tomorrow. So around 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, everybody's going to be lockstep. Everybody's behind Sam Pittman. And that's what you'd expect. But this roller coaster you go on through this coaching search, and we got people tracking planes, which is, by the way, the dumbest thing on the planet. As I was told, they sent planes out and they chartered a private plane to go somewhere. And you're like, guys, it's become almost a cottage industry, this coaching search nonsense. And frankly, I got a college degree and I'm sucked into it just like everybody else. I should be doing something else, but I'm, sitting there watching planes land at the Boca Raton airport. because I'm a dumbass.
We were I'm not going to lie. Our Discord was blowing up with the plane tracking. It was absolutely excellent. Everything that was on Twitter, it was kind of going back and forth. You'd see it on Twitter first, or sometimes, hell, I think a couple times our Discord was on it before Woo Pig over on Twitter, or even, I don't think Pinto was actually keeping up with it, another Razorback Twitter influencer over there. I wanted to ask you about Kiffin, though. I know it is what it is. He's going to Ole Miss. What was you guys did not want Kiffin. It's very obvious. And you weren't the only ones in the media, but what was it about Kiffin that you guys just did not like at all? The most, I guess.
Well, and I'm not going to speak for Ruskin. I mean, we kind of share an opinion on this, and we felt very, very strongly that as shaky as this program was, do you want everybody talks about, his recruiting, and he's going to bring in all these great recruits, but he's a celebrity more than a coach. What has he really done to build a program? We felt like this program needed a guy who was stable and had done this before. Lane Kiffin has it. You can talk about what he did down at FAU, and he was really good down there. And he's going to get tested over at Ole Miss, and we're going to find out, what kind of coach he is. My thing was it didn't fit the profile. Lane Kiffin I was looking for Musselman and a visor. Lane Kiffin's not that guy. Again, talking to people in the coaching industry, you hear things about some of the stuff that goes on away from the field. He's not all ball all the time. He runs kind of a loose ship. That doesn't fit the profile for Hunter Yurachek. And every time I would talk to somebody who knew him or had worked for him or something there were just little things you check off and go, okay, this just doesn't make sense. And then, I ran into somebody who's like, nah, he ain't going. That this is a Sexton thing, and this will drag out for a couple of days. And I talked to another person that got kind of the same story, and you're like, okay, this just isn't going to happen. I'm sure that they met, and I'm sure that they had a great meeting. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they're like, oh, it was 3.75, and there was a morality clause in it. Ole Miss had offered them $4 million, and there was no morality clause. No, it's a code of conduct clause, and it's in every standard contract. You get just these little shreds of information, and it just nothing ever added up with him coming to Arkansas. And then when you enter Ole Miss into it, Ole Miss is a better football job. Go back to the two things I told you. What does a coach want? He wants roster and recruiting. Mississippi is a better place to recruit. You can get out of that hole faster. And Lane Kiffin can't afford to, with his ego, with his persona, with all of the things that go with it, he can't afford to go 2-10 next year. He can't. It just didn't fit. It was like jamming a square peg into a round hole. It just never fit. And there's some other stuff, some stuff that I'd heard about at USC. I mean, he was called the coffee boy at USC when he was the co-offensive coordinator because he would go get Steve Sarkisian's coffee. That's not a good thing. That's not exactly what you're looking for. Then you throw in, the fact, some of the rumors stand at Alabama, Dixon Street, because it'll get you. And it never sort of added up for me. And I had people in my ear all week saying, "Stick to your guns. He's not coming." So
at the end of the day, and I agree with you about Kiffin. I think there's some, we're on the same page. There were things that I bought into with Kiffin. His offense, kind of his identity, and how he's been able to kind of mold. When you consider the circumstances that he faced at USC with the NCAA violations, I thought there was an upside to him. I still think. I'm going to have to disagree with you on the whole Ole Miss Arkansas thing because at Ole Miss, while it is in a better position, if he goes 3-9, 2-10, or 4-8, he's going to be on the hot seat relatively quick. At Arkansas, and you guys said this on your radio show, hell, you win 3 games next year, they might name a street after you.
They might, but do you think they're going to win 3 games?
I think it's possible.
It's possible.
I think it's absolutely possible. Nevada is a winnable game. Charleston Southern.
If that's truly the benchmark for what a better job is, look, the facility. There's a young man that plays at Arkansas who's a very good friend of mine. He's one of our Springdale kids, and he was telling me, when he would go visit, he visited Georgia and Alabama, and he was recruited by a bunch of big schools. Facilities, everybody's, you got elite facilities. Everybody's got elite facilities.
That's true.
These kids don't care about what the north end zone looks like or what the coach's office looks like. They care about the weight room. They care about the nutrition center, where they're going to eat. And then they care about what does the team do. That's what they care about. You can talk about all these great facilities, all of this side stuff. It doesn't matter. That's what those kids care about. And when Kiffin goes to Ole Miss, he's going to land in the flagship institution for the state, and he's going to have access to great high school football. And he can fix that roster much quicker than he could at Arkansas. Arkansas is going to be an uphill climb, especially coming off back-to-back 2-10s. There aren't a lot of kids, 4 and 5 stars that are just going, yeah, I'll go there because there's a help wanted sign on the door. It's not the way that, again, back into that player development thing. You got to get kids that 2 years from now are going to be starting for you and very, very effective.
Is Kiffin going to be able to teach those guys at Ole Miss how not to piss on the end zone?
man, I would hope so, but you know what? He sort of revels in that stuff. That's why. That's another reason I don't think it would have worked here. Is you can't be popping off when you get beat 49-0. You can't. There he's got a more competitive roster. He'll probably win 5 or 6 games next year. Go to a bowl game, everybody will be happy. But I just don't see. I don't see a guy like Kiffin coming in here. I see it being cool. You'll win every game between now and August the 1st. But when you get back out on the practice field, can you back it up? He had that wild offseason when he was at Tennessee where he's calling out Urban Meyer. That's not a smart move. It didn't fit. It's not what Arkansas needed. Now, if you had tried to hire Lane Kiffin after Petrino's last year, yeah, you probably could have gotten away with it. But now is not this. It's just not what you need right now. You need somebody who is all ball all the time who can get this thing spun around.
Yeah, and I think Hunter Yurchek's the type of guy that he wouldn't put up with that crap. I think he's just, and I think he hired a coach that models after him, old school, and I think Sam Pittman can get the job done with time. I really think he brings in what we need the most, and that's an offensive line. So, all it takes is a line, and you get you a good quarterback, and you get the ball rolling. You look at Kentucky; they beat Arkansas without a quarterback.
So now that kid turned out to be okay. He turned out to be all right. I think he won the Horning Award and was SEC Player of the Week a couple times. He wasn't all that bad.
Well, hey, at least the offensive line. If under Sam Pittman, he can get it going again. At least you won't have to worry about any more lookout blocks.
That's very, very true.
Do you know what I'm referring to?
I saw Dalton Wagner spend more time in Nick Starkel's lap than a stripper. It was bad. There were times where you're just like, geez, can anybody throw a block?
I think that is the positive. And if there's anybody, when you really look at who's tailor-made for this job, I got to think that it is absolutely Sam Pittman. There are, don't get me wrong, he wasn't on my short list in the beginning. Neither was Kiffin, to be honest. But when you put him under a microscope, I think I like Sam Pittman. I think year one is going to be rough, but it's all about recruiting. It's all about building a better depth chart from head to toe. I think if there's anybody out there that can do it, it's absolutely Sam Pittman. The question, and I think the underlying question, Chat's brought this up a couple of times, it's all about the staff that he builds around him. And I'm confident, like you said, Zach, that if there's anybody who can do that, it's going to be him because of how well connected he is. He's been around the sport for good Lord. I was probably I don't think I was born by the time this guy got into coaching. I was born in 1983. I don't have his wiki page up, but I have confidence that he's going to do something more than what Chad did, and there's a possibility that he could do something more than Brett Bielema did here. That's where I'm at with it. I think he's got a chance at success, and it starts with line of scrimmage. It starts with building from the inside out. That's my belief and philosophy when you talk about recruiting. What I thought Brett Bielema was going to be able to continue to do, and that all kind of fell apart, especially after Pittman left. But, I also get the skepticism as well because Arkansas has dug this hole that is so damn deep. And it's going to take a guy. It's going to take the guy, and I'm starting to believe it might be Sam Pittman. I don't know. Outside of Sam Pittman, Zach, who would have been the I'm sure we disagree on this, but who would have been your guy? Who would have been or you can name 1, 2, 3 names. Give me who you think would have been a better fit.
I thought Brian Harsin was interesting. There's a guy that's coached 7 years at Boise State. I think he's 70 and 21. But getting Brian Harsin away from his alma mater in his home state, it's going to be difficult to do. From the day this thing started, I was firmly entrenched as a Craig Bohl guy. If you don't know who Craig Bohl is, he's the head coach at Wyoming. He built North Dakota State into what they are. Everybody was real happy with early on wanted to see Chris Kleiman, the head coach of Kansas State. Well, that was Craig Bohl's number one guy. And North Dakota State, Kleiman he becomes the head coach. He wins like 3 national titles. Now North Dakota State's still the number one team. Guy understands how to build culture. Craig Bohl was a guy that I thought would have been interesting and would have done really, really well down here. From what I understand, there wasn't any interest in Craig Bohl, but I just thought that kind of guy. Now, Sam Pittman may wind up being that kind of guy. My concern with Sam Pittman is you never been a head coach at the Division I level. That's a concern to me. You've never piloted a program in the toughest conference in the country, and now you're given not just that job, but you got to rebuild this thing. That's going to be tough.
I get that, and I agree. It's nice to have, especially Power 5 experience. He doesn't even have that. I get that, but we have seen before. I'm not going to go the Dabo route. I'm not going to do that. But we did have Philip Fulmer at Tennessee. I mean, we have seen position coaches, and Philip Fulmer is really the only name I could come up with. But I think he was a offensive line coach his entire time when he was at Tennessee, and I think that was actually his entire resume. So we have seen position coaches.
He'd been there forever. Under Johnny Majors, understood the culture. And when he took over, Tennessee was in the top 10. It wasn't like he was taking over a dumpster fire. Tennessee was really, really good. So, if I'm not mistaken, he took over when Johnny Majors had a heart attack. It wasn't like Phil was unfamiliar with Tennessee and they were terrible. I mean, it was a really good football program, and he just kind of grabbed the wheel and ran with it. And there are guys that have been elevated from offensive or defense coordinators to success, like Dabo, for instance. But it's rare when you get a guy that's coming in from outside of a program to rebuild that hasn't had a whole lot of coaching experience and then experiences immediate success. So I hope fans are patient. It's going to be a long haul.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. I think no matter who takes this job, that would have been the case, though. And if you're going to ask me, would you rather someone who can build as far as recruiting, and we know that this guy can recruit. I mean, my God, Sam Pittman walked into Florida and grabbed, was able to pick up Denver Kirkland. He saw some diamonds in the rough around the country and was able to bring them here. He evaluated, he developed, and now some of them are in the NFL. Former players are all about it. So I'm not trying to build up the hype for him, but I see the positives, and I think the positives will eventually outweigh the negatives when you talk about program building. Sam Pittman's an awfully good choice in my opinion, but I get where you're coming from too. I see the skepticism, and especially not having that Power 5 experience. By the way, a lot of people in chat who are not thrilled with what some of us are saying here. A lot of you were saying not long ago that you wanted a guy with Power 5 experience. And now that you have the coach hired, some people are like, well, let's just push all that to the side. Now we're all on board, and that's great. That's you want to give him a shot, you want to give him a chance, and you want to support the guy. Do you think? And this is we'll change the subject here in just a second. I want to move on. I want to talk Razorback basketball, baby. I want to get there because that is I'm still thrilled. I know what happened at Western Kentucky, but I think Arkansas basketball's headed in such a great direction. But ticket sales, Zach. And Hawg Talk, my fellow Hawg Talk guys, are they going to be about the same next year? Like, what do you guys think? And this matters because, again, if you look at what Forbes.com says, that's the second most important thing to a program. And when Arkansas is given this top 20 evaluation, ticket sales matter. Do you think that they fall off maybe because it's not the big time hire that everybody wants, or do you think they maybe go up? What do you think as far as ticket sales, and then maybe even just the people showing up to the games?
Me?
Anybody. Sorry, anybody. We'll start with Zach. Sorry.
Okay, go Zach.
I think Musselman has injected. I was actually I was skeptical. Musselman didn't say a whole lot at his press conference. He didn't talk a lot during the offseason. He just went to work. Yeah. And I was actually kind of shocked that Arkansas fans sort of took their time it was kind of a wait-and-see approach with him. But I think they bought in, and I think it's really cool to see. Now, I went to school. I mean, my junior year, they won the national title. I'm used to 19-9 in Bud Walton Arena. That to me is the way it should be, and I think you're getting there. My daughter and I went a couple weeks ago, and I had 14-4 in the building, and it was loud. It was like being back in college, so it was really cool to see, and I think he's on his way. Now, you got to go win, and that's first thing you have to do is get the in-state guys for next year, get them to sign, get them on campus, and then if you go in and generate a lot of buzz and start winning, I think you're going to be really surprised at how fast that thing takes off.
Yeah, I kind of agree too with that. I think if Sam Pittman just goes to work and does his job, kind of like what Musselman has done, inject a little bit of positivity, maybe get some, maybe flip a couple of guys. I don't know if that happens or not going in this late into the recruiting game, but if he can maybe flip a couple of guys in the early signing period, I think that would inject a little bit of enthusiasm too. But if you can get that stadium maybe 75% full, I think that will be a trend in the right direction going forward. But with 7 home games in Fayetteville next year, and you have Notre Dame on the schedule, morale's not going to be very high, especially if Arkansas starts out the season 1-6 or 2-5. I mean, it could happen again. You could look at 2-10 in the mirror, but you can also look and say, okay, if Sam Pittman can show that he is a program developer, he can maintain the guys that he has, make some of the young freshmen that they have, maybe they can grow a little bit. Maybe Arkansas can go in the right direction and have butts in the seats.
You got to look at it from a relationship aspect. Hawg fans are married to the program, and Hawg fans are having a little fight right now with the program. So, the coach has got to come in, say his sorries, and he's got to start engaging with these fans, kind of like Musselman has, not saying but doing. And once you start showing them, do work, and you show them that you're going to make progress to gain their trust back, they're going to start coming back. Because in all reality, we can say whatever we want. The only thing that matters is wins. He starts winning, they're going to come back. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pittman wasn't on, majority of chat, the people that I see in here, wasn't on, I don't think he was on most of their short list, and it's not a mind-blowing hire, but it's also something that, like, you've got to really be bought in, and you got to have hope, right? And I don't know, that sounds cheesy as hell, I know, but I guess that's really what your hope is for Pittman, is they can get this thing turned around and go support him, go to some games. My God, though, the venues next year, we haven't even talked about that. They're going to be playing, of course, at the house that Jones built, and then they're also they're going to be in South Bend, your neck of the woods, I guess, so to speak. Zach, I know you're a Notre Dame fan.
I am.
Oh my God! First off, your radio show is going to be absolutely crazy that week. You're going to catch a lot of hits.
I'm taking that week off. I don't even want to be around for that. That is going to be utterly miserable for me.
And then I think next year they're playing at Arrowhead Stadium too, right?
Yep. Play Mizzou at the end of the season. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Not a bad year.
It's really not. You kind of wish that, I don't know, maybe things had gone the way they were supposed to with Chad, and then you're going into year 3 with a little bit of hype and some excitement. Not the case. Someone had asked in chat, and this is from Chance Allen, I wonder what type of offense and defense that Pittman plans on running. And I guess I'll start with Zach. What do you think?
Look at Georgia. I think you're going to see very much the same thing. I mean, that's what he's built the last couple of years. That's what he's familiar with. That's what he's comfortable with. Now you got to go get the athletes to run it. It starts with a guy like a quarterback that he's comfortable with. But I think if you watch Georgia, I think you're going to see a lot of the same stuff.
What do you think, Jacob?
So, I mean, I kind of piggyback right off of Zach there. I think you see more of the play action. I don't think you see as much read option. You have the ability to spread the ball out and downfield with your 2 receivers and Mike Woods in the slot. So I think you can see a offense that's similar to what Enos kind of ran, and then kind of what Georgia ran too. See a little bit of spreading the ball out, kind of more exciting. But you got to have the playmakers there, and you have to have the offensive line there too. But you already have the playmakers at the skill positions. Can your line block long enough to get the ball out there to them?
Porter?
Well, I think he's just trying to try to bring in that, like Jacob said, that play action pass. He's going to try to establish a run. I mean, that's very important, to get that run going, and then try to get those deep shots downfield. I almost, in looking at Georgia's offense, it's almost like Arkansas's basketball offense. It's not going to be that flashy. It's going to be slow, methodical, and then hope to get, that deep shot downfield or that breakaway run to score a touchdown.
Yeah, So I'm excited to see. I think you guys are right. I think it's going to be something close to what Georgia does, and maybe a mix between Chaney, what Chaney did when he was here. My God, can we talk about that for a second though? Chaney. First off, is that going to be his guy? And then is it going to be the same thing, just like what we had last time with Brett Bielema with that offense? I have a hard time getting excited. That's the one downside I think to this hire that I have. The thing that kind of glares out to me is the Chaney connect. I was not very thrilled when he was here. I get he was dealing with some uphill struggles. You had a young group of guys on offense with Keon Hatcher and Morgan and a young, still developing Brandon Allen. Just underwhelming hire, though, if that is the case. Where are you guys on that? As far as I know, we already kind of talked about the assistants, but what would you guys think of a Chaney hire? Would it be rinse and repeat like what he did last time? I guess Zach.
No, I don't want Chaney. No. Just no. Just scratch that name off the board right now. That's a pipe dream, Todd. That's a pipe dream for you.
Pipe dream? I don't want him.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't want him at all either. That's no.
I think you got to go. I think you've got to look somebody who's running. I don't want to call it an air raid system, but a wide open system, because you got to take advantage of what you've got, which is guys on the perimeter. I mean, you can't rely on that offensive line in a power running game right now. So you've got to develop an offense that takes advantage of the players that you do have, and that I thought was always the problem with Chad Morris, was he kept trying to get guys to do things that they weren't comfortable with. Adapt. It's easier for the coach to adapt his offense to his players than 11 players to adapt, their roles to an offense. If you get, if you get a guy that's going to run, throw it all over the place, you better make sure you got a quarterback that can do it. I just don't think they can line up and overpower anybody at this point. So I think their best bet is, if KJ Jefferson's your guy, that you've got to have some sort of zone read package. You've got to be able to get on the perimeter, move the ball that way, because you're not going to push people around.
Guys, but the answer's staring us right in the face. It's left lane hammer down, baby. Go get Chad Morris as your offensive coordinator. Yeah?
No, that went well. The 19 points a game, that was awesome. No, absolutely not.
Oh, man, that would
what if they kept Chavis on it defense? I mean, I think that'd be great.
No. Y'all are going to make me hang up. Just stop. No.
Yeah, that would that wouldn't be very favorable. That you talk about someone with a name who didn't work out. People are throwing these names out in chat, like, go get Rhett Lashley. We don't know that Rhett would work here. I don't know. There's so many questions left to kind of answer, and this stuff's we're just going to have to be patient, see what he does with his staff, and that is the most common question right now in chat. Michael Wilmoth wants Rhett Lashley. I don't know. Then again, I would take Rhett Lashley in a heartbeat. I shouldn't have said that. I would definitely take Rhett Lashley. Pardon my mistake, but I don't know the likelihood of getting someone like that for sure, but you never know. Pittman's been around for a little while and definitely very, very, very well connected. Anything else to add to football, guys? Hog Talk, guys? Is there anything else you want to ask Zach here from Zach Arns from ESPN's Ruskin and Zach? For those of you who are just joining us in chat, you guys got anything else for him?
No, I'm good with the football talk.
Okay.
Moving on.
All right, basketball. And this will probably, what are we running on here as far as time? What are we at? We are at, we're over an hour, so we'll make this one not so long, because I typically run these shows about an hour long, and our podcasts are typically about that. Basketball, they lose to Western Kentucky. I'm going to take it. I still think that it is what it is. That was a hell of a game. I felt very bad for Bassie. I thoughts and prayers with him and his family. That was ugly. It's really unfortunate, but Arkansas loses this game. Zach, where are you at as far as the rest of the year? Should Hog fans be panicking that we might see more of the same, because we're about to play a really challenging SEC schedule here? It's pretty brutal. Should Arkansas fans be panicking? Should it just be, you know what, it was a road game, move on, we'll be fine? What are your thoughts there, Zach?
They're 8-1. Leave them alone. They're fine. No, I mean, look, there have been red flags about what we're seeing. They don't shoot the ball particularly well. They have no inside presence. I mean, and those things are going to show up from time to time. But, to be honest, I mean, A&M sucks. I mean, they're bad.
There's bad.
There's some bad basketball teams in the SEC West. I've said all along, if you can get to 10 wins, non-conference, and you're 9-9 in conference. 19 wins is about where everybody thought that's about where they'd land. And I said that before I knew A&M sucked, and there were some really really bad teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
500 in the conference probably gets you into the tournament. I haven't checked Lenardi since the loss, but I mean they're 8-1. Whether they have a week off now, they're going to go play Tulsa. I would not want to be at practice tomorrow. I don't think that's going to be a whole lot of fun. But then you get 7 days, kind of lick your wounds, and go play Tulsa. Then you play Valpo down in North Little Rock, and then you get the big one on the 29th. You're going to go play Indiana. That's the last game before conference. Indiana's really good. So if you get 2 out of the next 3, and you're 10-2 leaving your non-conference schedule, yeah, you're fine. I think you're in good shape. I think you see kind of what he's trying to do, and when he gets better athletes in, they'll be fine. But they're going to struggle to shoot the ball. They do play defense, and the defense is just going to have to carry him.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to deal with chat and getting about 14 text messages at the same time, trying to manage all this. I agree. I think I said before the season started I would give my preseason prediction. My preseason prediction, I definitely did not have them pegged at 8-0. And I don't know that many people did. I don't know that anybody had them pegged at 8-0. I've been really impressed with what I've seen. Oh, here we go. Go on. Bring it, Jacob. Go ahead. The floor's yours.
My boy Mason Jones. Hello. Arkansas would have won last night if he hadn't pulled a Ja'Cory Williams. That is all.
Your boy, though, I don't know. He's kind of, I don't know. I wondered about him being held out of a game and supposedly having a shoulder injury. I kind of thought that was a disciplinary thing, but
I had Georgia Tech as a coin flip game, but I did pick Arkansas to be 10-0 going to Western.
You did, didn't you?
Didn't I say that's like 11-0 or something like that?
I think you did. Yeah, you did. That's my bad. You did. Yeah.
All right, I'm getting off. See y'all later.
So take your victory lap and get out. That's the way.
That's the way to do it. That's the thing. We don't have a set 3 hours like you do on radio. We could just be like, we're out, see you, drop the mic, and walk away.
Well, and you got to excuse Jacob because now that Kiffin's not going to be the coach, he can go back to his bromance to Mason Jones
guys.
now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely had a bromance.
For real now.
Are you stalking him on social media, Jacob?
No. I just follow him, and I follow and unfollow, hoping I'm going to get a follow back. It's just not happening. So I don't know I guess it's not both ways. But
it's not creepy.
Still true romance, yes.
Not at all. Not creepy at all.
We're going to see Jacob on Lifetime here in a minute.
Yeah, we are. Or Cops. One of the two.
Live PD.
So looking at the rest of the season, then going into, I'm going to have my final, post non-conference predictions out. I don't know where you're at on this, Zach. I'm not prepared yet to say whether or not they're a tournament team. My God, though, they are playing February basketball right now. Even with that loss on the road to Western Kentucky, I don't think there's anything to really look at. I don't see that as like a huge negative. I don't see that as a skid mark on the Razorback road to the tournament just yet. But I'm not completely there to the tournament. But where are you? Do you think they make the tournament with this team with the way they're playing?
They're going to throw up some clunkers just because of the style that they're playing. I mean, they rely very heavily on perimeter shooting. And when your best low post player is Jimmy Witt, that's probably not a good place to start. You're going to run into teams, Kentucky being one of them, who's going to go 6'11", 6'11", 6'9" across the front. It's going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah. And
there are going to be games where it just looks ugly. I expect Musselman to steal one that he shouldn't, and he's probably going to drop one that he shouldn't. And that's what you're going to get in a first-year basketball team. We've said this on the show 100 times. This is the worst team he's going to have. And if they go 19-12 and they get to the NIT, it's a pretty good year for a first year, especially when you realize of the 13 players he's got on scholarship, 7 of them weren't here last year.
That's true.
That's and think about this. I said this Monday. They're getting nothing out of Scylla right now. 0. He and Ethan Henderson really aren't giving you a whole lot other than fouls. And if those two guys can somehow give you anything, and if you get some Christmas miracle and you get Connor Vanover for the second semester, yeah, you might have something.
Which could happen.
9-9, absolutely, it could. 9-9 should be the target. If you can get to 9-9 in conference play, you'll get into the tournament.
Okay. I like it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because here's the I don't want to put the expectations of. I don't want to say that they're going to make the tournament because I don't want to put that expectations on them. If they don't make the tournament, then I'm going to feel like the season's a bust or a loss or they underachieved because I mean you got to see what he's working with, and Musselman knows what he's had. He's come in and said, I'm going to be small, and this is what we're going to have to work with. So if they sneak in and they get in the tournament, that's awesome. But if they go to the NIT, then I'm going to be okay with that because we got to look at the future, and we got 4 guys coming in next year that, with his, what he wants to do, his philosophy, the future looks bright. So, I mean, we just got to take this year is what it is.
Whatever you do, don't develop a pathway to 19 wins. You'll get hammered for that. My pathway to 7 wins for the football team is still haunting me.
Oh, gosh.
Just whatever you do, don't do it.
So you're saying it's not going to happen?
No, I'm just saying don't do it for your own sanity. Because if it doesn't happen, you'll be reminded of it almost daily.
Every single day, I'm sure. I remember when you
Every
said
single
that with your pathway to 7. And, people in chat, so people are saying you're negative. You were the most positive guy at the beginning of the season.
Oh, my gosh.
When I heard you say pathway to 7, I was like, okay, so they allow something in their studios that's not legally sold on the streets because I couldn't see it.
It's incense. Don't worry about it. It's just incense. Joe and Avoca comes by periodically.
Joe and Avoca.
Incense.
Yeah.
Tommy gives them a little heads up when they go and test.
Yes, exactly. If he gives us a 30-day heads up, we're pretty good.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty. But look. It's we were all wrong. Nobody was right. Nobody, the crowd, the audience, people who text your show, my normal people were. I got some heat when I said 6. I had them at 6-6. It fell apart. My bad. Okay, maybe I was a little too optimistic.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
And I've asked this question 100 times. I don't mean to go back to football for a second. But
okay.
They somehow squeak one out against San Jose State. And they put together that effort that they had down in Arlington when they played A&M going into the bye week. The narrative in this thing is completely different. And Chad Morris probably isn't on the hot seat at that point. But the loss to San Jose State, I think he lost everybody then. And from that point forward, there was nothing short of beating Auburn or Alabama that was going to save his job. He had lost everybody at that point. And, I know guys that on the team, I know guys that were recruited by him. And they would tell me just in passing, something's wrong. Something's not right. There's no connection. It wasn't working. And, I knew that probably in late August and early September, that there was just something that wasn't right. And I believe Chad Morris would get it figured out just based on everybody that I talked to. It just never happened. He never connected with these kids. And, hopefully Sam Pittman's a guy that can get in there, get in their heads and get them right because they need it. This school needs football to be good. Basketball's great. But, man, when football's good, life is good.
It's a different world. Listen, I used to work, heads up here, little insider information of Ty Hudson's youth when he was in high school. Played football at Fayetteville High under Mike Adams. Went to school at Fayetteville and actually split time between Fayetteville and West Campus. And I would walk to my job at Taco Bell, the old Taco Bell on 6th Street when it was 6th Street.
The one that burned down.
The one that burned down.
Yeah.
When football was good, our business was through the roof, obviously, but you could tell too just by the level of soberness that would come into the restaurant because nobody wanted to get drunk. They wanted to enjoy the football game. But you could just tell how crazy things would get when, that was back, my God, that was 20 years ago. Houston Nutt had everyone whipped into a frenzy here. It was incredible. His first 2 years, the guy won, almost 20 games his first 2 years. And it was so night and day from Danny Ford era to the beginning of the Houston Nutt era. And you're right. You couldn't be more dead on about that. The excitement level needs to come back. And I'll never forget that as a 16-year-old kid working that lobby at Taco Bell at 2 o'clock in the morning, having these people come in and scream in their Hawg gear and half of the crowd is drunk. Saw a guy get punched straight in the face and blacked out and hit the window. It was insane. And it was great, but the environment was so different than when they started losing. Yeah, unfortunately, I worked at Taco Bell for way too long, so I was there long enough to see the good and the bad. And you could absolutely see a difference in just how people reacted, how they were, in the restaurant, and just how much more pissed they were. But I couldn't agree more, though. They have to get this thing rocking and rolling. Razorback football, Fayetteville is a special place when football's rocking and rolling. It just is. It's unlike any place else. Of course, I've never left Fayetteville, so I'm sure, there's other college towns that are also the same way, I'm sure. But Fayetteville's just it's a different place when football's when it's rocking and rolling and things are moving in the right direction. I hope to God Pittman can do that. I think that he can. I think it's going to take some time. He's going to build the roster, but I am so confident in that guy's ability to rebuild from the inside out. And that's going to be his philosophy, I'm sure, as an offensive line coach.
Which is exactly the opposite of the way Chad Morris went. Chad Morris tried to build from the outside in.
Outside in.
Sam Pittman. I mean, you'll see offensive linemen starting to commit, and I think maybe more importantly is you'll start to get better evaluations of offensive linemen and skill players, because he's done it for so long, he can identify alignment. And I wasn't real impressed with what Dustin Fry did. I mean, he just kind of walked around like a bear in the woods.
He was great.
Things.
What are you talking about? He was excellent.
Hey, that's one man's opinion, I guess, and I respect your right to make bad decisions. No, I think you have an offensive line coach who can identify. That should be the position that upgrades the quickest is the offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna, and I'm with you. It is gonna take some time, and hopefully Sam Pittman. Hopefully he's the guy. We look back on this some years later and go, damn, we underestimated him a little bit. I don't know. Let's see. Be cool, Ty. Got to wake up early. Okay. Dr. Pep, thanks so much for coming by. Chat, thank you guys a lot. I think we were 350. I think we had quite a few people in here.
Yeah, it was really good.
Really good stuff. Thank you, guys. Remember to like, comment, share the content if you would, and feel free to check out all the links provided for you down below in the description box. Of course, Zach, I think that's it. I think we're going to do it, man. Thank you so much for taking a little time, actually a whole chunk of time to come be with us.
Well, I locked the doors, kept my family out. They're just kind of looking at me right now, but priorities, right?
There you go. That's what it's all about.
So are we going to hire you on full time now, and it can be the Hawg Talking Zach?
Sure. You know what? I specialize in not working for any money, so yeah, I'm definitely available. That's what we do at ESPN 99.5.
I hear you.
I excel really well at that too. So
I hear you. I know what it's like. The two. Now I don't work as much as you guys do. It's 3 hours a day, and then I think you actually help them out earlier in the day too, right? I hear you every once in a while. Help produce.
I'm in the office at 8 a.m. So yeah, it's it's an 8 to 7-ish job, but man, look, I've worked in the real world and it sucks, and there's no way I'd go back to doing it. So I have a lot of first world problems.
Yeah, don't we all? As I sit here and drink my Mio flavored water. It's not the kind that I wanted, damn it. Any more? Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any more questions really quick.
Make sure that if you do need Bill in the Grant County area, call me at 870-942-2245.
Did you just plug your side gig on the live stream here?
Yes, I did.
That just happened?
Yes.
That's okay. I'm fine with it. He is in Bell Bondsman down in South Arkansas, and hit Jacob up. I'll actually leave. We need to leave that phone number in Discord, so just in case. JIC. You never know when you're stuck in a bad position. Why not call your boy Jacob Scott Davis?
Well, that's a lot better than my buddy said the other day. So that's a lot cleaner.
Okay, well, again, thank you guys in chat. I really do appreciate it. I know this was something a little bit different. But again, Zach, you were awesome from taking time out of your day. We really do appreciate it, guys.
Anytime, guys.
Jacob,
go back to that Madden game.
Oh,
yeah, I got to go beat the Seahawks. I'm down 9.
I'm not gonna lie, playing with the Houston Texans right now with Watson, it's like playing it on easy mode, and I definitely don't have it on easy. It's spectacular. Madden 20 is actually decent. I know it caught some hate, but I'm enjoying it. Ty, no cider. Nope, not tonight. No cider. Like I said, Mio flavored water. All right, guys, that's gonna do it. Thanks a lot. This is technically episode. What is this, Jacob? 46.
Number 46.
Episode 46 of the Hawg Talk podcast, and it's also here. I'm gonna keep it up on the Pictorial Network YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, chat, and we will see you guys. I'll be live tomorrow. We'll have some more reactions, I'm sure, and we'll get prepared for the rest of the basketball season and recruiting. It's all fun and games. Cheer up, everybody. Go Hogs.